So you just bought the new Gravy Bones Armory deck and you are excited to play the brand new Pirate Necromancer hero in Flesh and Blood, and you're looking for a way to take this and upgrade it to make it more potent and more powerful in your local Armory scene. But you're not made of money, and prices are a little bit crazy right now because Gravy Bones just did very well at US Nationals. So let me talk you through a couple of easy ways to upgrade this Armory deck so that you can take it to your local Armory and have a little bit more punch. First things first, I want to start by saying I think this is the best Armory decked product that LSS has ever put out. I think they have solved so many issues and pain points with previous Armory decks in the Gravy Bones Armory deck that everyone should applaud their changes. This is now an Armory deck that can be both a classic constructed and a blitz deck, meaning that you can play it in any smaller deck format alongside of a classic constructed format deck. Now, technically that's always been the case, but this time they've actually told you what cards to take out and what cards to include in both of those formats. So a fantastic improvement, and one I would love to see them do going forward. They've also included a really handy paper how to play guide in there. You don't have to scan the QR code and watch a video. Instead, you can just read this right out of the box to understand how Gravy Bones works. And that's really important because Gravy Bones is complex. He's a complicated hero. He has to jump through a lot of hoops, but you get a lot of great payoffs when you figure out how the deck works. And one of the best and biggest improvements with this product is that they've included, again, some of those functionally unique cards in this product in the form of Anka, Drag Under, Sawbones, Dock Hand, and a suite of cards called Loot the Arsenal and Loot the Hold. Now, the really cool thing that they've done here with the two ally sets is that they've given you full play sets of all of these cards that are functionally unique, and they've also printed the allies specifically in higher rarity Marvel slots within the set. So you're not basically just stuck buying this product to get those two sets of allies, because you can actually pull them in the fancier version in the booster set. I think this is a fantastic step up. Now, the same cannot be said with Loot the Arsenal and Loot the Hold, and I'm hoping that they reprint those in some sort of like a participation promo going forward, because Loot the Hold specifically is a fantastic card and can only be found in this product. So that's one point I would love to see them improve going forward. So how do you improve this list directly out of the box? Let's say you have $20 and you want to make some improvements, some changes based on what you get. So this is what you're getting in the Gravy Bones Armory deck. We're looking at 16 reds, some of which definitely are begging to be changed. 18 yellows, a bunch of, well, really all of the yellows are just our allies, and then a big chunk of blues, technically 26 blues. We can go up on that number because we do want a good bit of blues in this deck. And there are some easy, quick changes to make. To understand why we would make those changes, it's important to see how this deck plans to function. The allies have to be removed from our hand in some way, shape, or form and placed into the graveyard. And the way that this deck goes about doing that is with Jittery Bones, red and blue, via the discard effect, and Restless Bones, red and blue, via the discard effect. Now, these are good, solid attacks. Obviously, a 0 for 4, block 3, and then go again if you do the discard off the top of the deck or from your hand is great. Same thing with a 2 for 6. Like, they're not bad cards. There are some other discard effects. Golden Tipple, a fantastic one, and one that we're going to talk about here in a second. This is probably your best one in the deck, alongside of Portside Exchange. And these are great because they discard those allies, get them to the graveyard, which is where you want them, and they give you a gold for doing so. There's some cards in here that we definitely want to add more of. Murderous Rabble is a great 3 of. We only have 2 in the deck. Avasti, a great 3 of. We only have 2 in the deck. And a couple of cards that we really don't need. So let's go ahead and make some quick changes. If you only have $20, this is what I would recommend. Step 1, we want to include a 3rd copy of Avast Ye and Murderous Rabble. Those cards are just wonderful glue cards in this deck. Avast Ye with Go Again, and Murderous Rabble just a solid 3 block blue, 3 attack on, most of the time, means that those cards just play their roles incredibly well. So adding those in is a breeze. Now let's go ahead and remove some cards. Fiddler's Green at 1 copy makes very little sense in what we're doing with the deck going forward, so it's an easy swap out. Same thing with Paddle Faster and Scar for a Scar, and that leaves some spots open that we can fill with an incredible card in the form of Golden Tipple. We already have 3 Golden Tipple blues in the deck, so let's splash in reds and yellows as well, because this card meets that requirement of discarding a yellow card, and that's the ally discard effect that we want to have more of in the deck so that we can be more consistent. But then it also replaces itself by drawing us a card, and it gives us a gold token, meaning that Gravy Bones' hero effect can actually come into play. Golden Tipple has been such an insane overperformer for me over the past couple of weeks of testing that it is an easy no-brainer choice to include all 9 copies. Couple that with the fact that each copy is about 10 cents, a literal dime, and you can see why it's a great option for budget upgrades in this $20 slot. Now, because we added more ability to discard yellow cards with Golden Tipples, we can include a very cheap Majestic right now called Sea Legs. Sea Legs, when you discard this, it creates you a Gold Kiss Rum token, which is fantastic because we also have this struggle to give our allies go again. We're playing 18 allies currently, and we want to be able to attack multiple times a turn with those allies at key points. So having a Gold Kiss Rum on the board to be able to crack it and give one of our attacks go again is huge for actuating our game plan and winning the game. Golden Tipple plus these Sea Legs is a powerful little combo. And because right now they're only priced at about $5, we can actually grab all 3 for $15, which puts us very close to our cap already at $20, but the cards we're going to continue adding are pennies on the dollar, if you will, so we still have room to play. Continuing to bake in more Go Again into the deck, we're going to add 3 copies of Blue Flying High. This card really impressed me over the past weekend. It was something I wasn't really on because I didn't respect it enough, but again, giving Go Again on card form to our allies can be very potent at key moments, and including 3 extra blues into the deck also feels really good. These are 7 cents a piece, so we're just nickel and diming our way up to $20. Now it's time to make a swap at the ally level. A lot of our allies in this Armory deck are already very potent and very strong in their own rights, but one of those that kind of falls short is Barnacle. It's a 0 attack for 4, which can be very powerful. You gotta pay 2 to get him out though. So we can make a swap here, and we can instead take him out and bring in Swabby. 3 copies of Swabby only nets us about 27 cents for the total of the 3, and it attacks for 7. In the end game, you can actually bring in multiple of these Swabbies on the same turn with some of these Go Again effects we've included, and swing both of them for 14 damage, taking our opponent's hand and asking the question, can you remove either of these, or I'm just going to do it again next turn. Equipment time. Let's take a look at the equipment suite that's provided. This is a full suite of Majestic equipment that I think do a lot for Gravy Bones in general if you're playing more aggressively, and I think are most potent in the Blitz format and in those lower life total formats because they hit the board and can immediately do something powerful. But I think there are some better options if you're playing a longer game. One of those being Headstone. Yes, that's right, Headstone, literally one of the draft chaff pieces of equipment, but it's actually pretty incredible. Battle Worn 1, meaning you can block with it and then keep it around so that you can at instant speed use its effect to grab something off the top of the deck by discarding it, is quite good. And Mage Master Boots, an Arcane Rising common piece of equipment, is an all-star in this deck because it lets us put multiple allies on the board at the same time without losing our action point and allowing us to attack with them. These are very good upgrades, and they really only cost us about 20 cents. And just like that, we have a couple of bucks left to play with, so what do we want to include? Well, I personally like having a few more blues in the deck, but with only a few dollars left to spare, let's go ahead and include Saltwater Swell. This is a 9-cent card that means we can splash in 3 of them for under 30 cents, putting our total at $17 all in from these upgrades. And Saltwater Swell, a pretty solid card, gives us more resources off of the top of the deck to be able to play things like Swabby out there and not just run dry. So this is where the deck stands now. It's a 64 card deck because we did include more cards overall. I personally don't mind going over 60 cards because there are going to be decks that just say, well, I'm going to try to fatigue you because you have allies, and if I just remove them every single turn, maybe I can just get there in the end. So including 64 cards versus 60 cards feels pretty negligible, while we're still including some very powerful effects. And keep in mind, Sea Legs is an attack. You can send it, but you can also discard it with some of these other attacks. We did remove a couple of key pieces. I eventually took out Jittery Bones. It again is a conditional go again piece alongside of these other conditional go again pieces. So we removed some amount of 4 attacks for slightly more blues, for some other baked in go again, and to lean in more heavily on creating the gold and discarding more consistently. I really do believe though that these golden tipples are worth it. They are strong. They would be even stronger if you had some more money to spring for a better arm piece in the form of gold baited hook. If you had that, these become even better. But without that extra upgrade piece, if we're just keeping it at $20, this is a solid place to start. If you feel like you're losing out on breakpoint damage, you can splash back in some of these in the sideboard. By the way, I also did move Battalion Bark to the sideboard as well, but this is where I would go for $20. Okay, but where do you go from here? Let's say you wanted to upgrade this a little bit further. Maybe you wanted to spend about 50, 60 bucks to take this a little bit further. Well, that's an easy one because here's what I would recommend. From this point forward, a lot of the Majestics that we can add to the deck start to get pretty pricey, and the main reason for this is because the deck did very well at US Nationals. These cards have gone up in price since this past weekend, but there is a single card that really stands out as what we should add next if we have about $60 to spend to upgrade this a little bit further. And that is 2 copies of Chum Friendly First Mate. This is, in my opinion, the best ally in the game for Mr. Gravy Bones. You could argue Whaler Humperdinck might take that spot, but if we're going to add one, for me, it's going to be Chum Friendly First Mate because he swings for free. Once you get him on the board, you could use him to discard more of your Watery Grave cards and also force your opponent to attack into him, protecting your life total more. Now, he's $30 per card, which means that if we're grabbing 2 of them, we're using up the rest of that $60 budget, but it's well worth the investment. So if we splash in the 2 Chum Friendly First Mate, and then we take out 1 Oyston and put it in the sideboard or something, and 1 Swabby and put it in the sideboard as well, then we end up with 18 total allies, which is a great feeling number. We've got a good number of discard effects to get our allies into the graveyard, and so everything balances out pretty nicely while still including a very powerful ally in the form of Chum. I don't know, I mean, you could try going up to, like a total of 20 allies, but it starts to feel like you draw too many allies per hand, and you can't really effectively clear them or block with them, and you start to lose games because you have too many. And finally, to round out the upgrades that we can do under $100 total to make this deck completely functional in CC, and not only functional, but better than it comes out of the box, we are going to include Null Rune Gloves, Null Rune Hood, and Null Rune Robe so that we can play into Wizards with Arcane Barrier 3. Keep in mind we do have 34 blues, so we're feeling pretty comfortable pitching into AB3 pretty consistently. But to continue to play around big combo turns, we're going to include 3 copies of Throw Caution to the Wind. This card's nuts. I have been so impressed by this card. Keep in mind this prevents any type of damage, true damage, arcane damage, unblockable, all that sort of stuff. This prevents that type of damage unless it says it can't be prevented. It wouldn't prevent that, but everything else it prevents. And then of course, 1 Oasis Respite because Kano exists and we want to say no to Kano. But that, as they say, is that we have upgraded this deck. We've put under $100 on top of buying the Armory deck, and this is where I would recommend you go if you've purchased that Armory deck and you'd like to put in a little bit of money to make it a little bit better. Now, can this be further improved? Of course, yes, we could keep buying cards, keep trading for cards that are really good alongside of this hero, but as a starting point, I think this is a great way to take the Armory deck. And it's one that I encourage you pick up if you have access to it, because it is really fun. Gravy Bones, one of the most fun characters in the game, and a lot of excitement around this brand new pirate necromancer. So if you enjoy this type of content, you want to see more of this, let me know in a comment below. And of course, make the number go to the other number. And if you would like to support some charities along the way, I will be doing a charity stream this Thursday coming up very soon, where we're going to open 40 boxes of High Seas. We are going to crack a lot of pirate cards, and we are going to give to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and make cancer walk the plank. So join me then, because it's going to be a fantastic time. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.